So welcome to Vin and Yin. I am Cyndy, and I have the lovely joy of teaching Marcia and Jenny tonight. We're going to do a little vinyasa flow, a warm-up, and then a vinyasa flow, and then we're going to get into a series of yin poses. So Marcia and Jenny are sitting in hero's pose, so I invite you to sit there. So up on 1 or 2 blocks between your ankles, let your feet rest behind you. And the one advantage of being in hero's pose is that you can engage your core and sit just a titch taller. Allow your shoulders to melt down, allow your hands to rest comfortably on your thigh, palms up, palms down, your choice. You can even bobble your head a little bit to let your neck release. Now if this pose is really uncomfortable, please feel free to shift into easy seat. Either is fine. Begin to bring your attention to your breath. And just notice it. Perhaps you notice the breath entering through your nostrils. Perhaps you notice the expansion of your belly or your ribs. But as you exhale, allow all of the air to go. Allow your body to settle into the shape and allow the shape to begin to bring you into this time in this moment. I want to talk to you tonight about intention. So have you ever wondered what the teacher meant when at the beginning of a yoga practice he or she suggested that you set an intention for the practice? Maybe you wondered what an intention was. Some synonyms might be aim or hope or motive or maybe objective, and if it's a really long-term intention, maybe it's the purpose. But it's not about setting a goal necessarily. It's not even really a promise. It's both simpler and potentially more meaningful than that. James Baraz in Awakening Joy describes it this way. When you set an intention, you are simply inclining your mind towards a particular vision. Then you make a heartfelt decision to do what you can to bring it about. And our bodies are really made to do that. Daniel Siegel confirms that by writing, intentions create an integrated state of priming, a gearing up of our neural system to be in the mode of that specific intention. We can be readying to receive, to sense, to focus, to behave in a certain manner. So think of an intention as priming your neural system, inclining your mind. 2 phrases that can support you as you practice. May I suggest that you incline your mind in the direction you'd like to be, like to feel as we practice together. Perhaps you want to be ready to receive, or to sense, or to focus, or simply to be here. Let your mind incline toward your intention. Take another long, full inhale and a complete exhale. And then, whatever shape you've chosen, come up to hands and knees for a moment. And if you're in heroes with the blocks between your ankles, you're going to want to remove the blocks. Keep one handy. We're going to start with a toe stretch. And we're going to count this toe stretch by the breaths. So curl your toes under and then begin to walk your hands back. And as you walk your hands back, your hips are going to reach toward your heels. Now, Marcia's reaching for a block. She's going to put it on her calves. Jenny is too, because they know that if you put a block there, then this intensity of the stretch can be controlled, modified a little. We're going to be here for several breaths. We're going to just allow the weight to naturally open up the bottoms of our feet. Our feet tend to get very stiff because we wrap them up in shoes, although summertime maybe not as much. But we really want them to be flexible. They're made to be flexible. Notice your breath. Bring your attention there. Allow the sensations to be in your feet, but notice your breath. One more complete inhale and exhale. Let it be long and full. And then bring your hands down and forward. Release the pressure off your toes. If you've got the block, remove it for a moment. Uncurl your toes. And then very gently tap and I mean gently, tap the tops of your feet on the mat. Just beginning to bring a little bit of stimulation to the opposite side of the feet. We're going to stretch those in a minute, but not just yet, because you get a second round of this toe stretch. So you decide, maybe after warming it up with the block, you want to try it without. So curl the toes under, begin to work your way back into that same shape, or maybe you want to keep the block there. Yeah, feel free to unwind anything if they get trapped. And I'm not going to talk as much this time. So just count your breaths and just notice them. Are they long and deep and full? Are they a little shorter? And it's a matter of noticing. All variations are good. Three complete rounds and then you're set. If you bring your attention to your exhale, you'll be tapping into the side of your nervous system that comes to that rest and digest. Yes, come out of it, do the same little tapping of the tops of your feet when you're ready. And then keep your feet extended. You want your heels lined up with your thighs and begin to walk your hands back. So this time you're going to come and you're going to sort of sit on your heels with your hips. Keep walking your hands back behind you. Allow your spine to stay long. You might want to even lift your heart a little. And then with your hands behind you, begin to bend your elbows. And as you bend your elbows, allow your knees to lift up. So now we're stretching the front of those feet, the front of your ankles. You may or never have done this before. It's a little different stretch. As close to the opposite of what we just did with your toes as we can get. So now on those nice 3 full rounds, I know not as long as the other, but pay attention to that exhale. And when you come to the bottom of your third complete exhale, don't let me rush you. Come back to hands and knees. And if you have tender knees, please feel free to pad them. And then you can curl your toes under. You can lift your feet up off the mat and circle your ankles. Wiggle around. Do whatever you feel your body needs to feel good. And then as you're ready, bring your feet down to the mat, your toes curled under. They should feel really awake now. Check in with your upper body. So you want your wrists right under your shoulders, the head of the arm bones snuggle right into your shoulders. Draw your heart forward, and as you do, really press down through that J shape, index finger and thumb. That's where you want the strength of your upper body to be, the weight. Take a nice full breath in. And then on the exhale, come into your cat shape. So allow your tailbone to drop down, the middle of your spine to lift. Allow the crown of your head to drop so the back of your neck is really soft. Reverse that on your inhale, lifting your tail, drawing your heart forward, the back of your head up. So on the cow shape, you want to think length. On the cat shape, you want to think release and soft. And just go back and forth, feeling the ripple in your spine. Let it feel yummy to you. Do one more complete round, so even yourself up, cat and cow. And then we'll meet in that neutral place, where your shoulders are floating right over your wrists and your hips are right over your knees. Engage your core. What I mean by that, imagine the hip points are drawing together so you feel really strong in your core. Keep your hip points pointing down toward the earth. Stretch your right toes back. Keep the toes on the mat for a moment. Now press back through the heel. Keep hugging in. And then lift your heel off the mat. Let your toes point down toward the earth. So this is one version of bird dog. You can stay right here. You want to add a little challenge. Reach your left fingertips forward. Turn your palms so the thumb is reaching up. Keep the head of the arm bones snuggled in. Now on your breath, imagine you expand and get bigger. On the exhale, hug it all in. Take one more round of breath. And now with everything out, bring your left hand back down to the mat. Turn your toes out so they're turning toward the right. Reach them out to the right so they'll be off your mat. And then bring your foot down off your mat to the right. So Jenny, out in gate pose shape. That's okay. Bring your foot down. Now walk your hands back so you're standing up on your left knee, nice and tall in the spine. Beautiful. Bring your hands back by your hips. Turn your palms forward. Feel your shoulders snuggle. Now, big breath in. Reach your arms way out and up like you're circling the sun. Keep your left hand reaching high. Bring your right hand down to that thigh. Stretch just a little longer. And then on your exhale, up and over to the left. Or is that the right? See, my rights and lefts. Here we go. One more breath. Inhale back to center, and we'll go the opposite way. So that's the left hand down. Keep your right foot well anchored as your left hand reaches down. Reach your right hands up over your ear. Good. So fingertips can touch the floor or the mat, or if you have a block. One breath. And then unwind everything. Bring your hands back forward. Bring your knee underneath your hip. If you feel the need to wiggle, wiggle, or maybe a cat and cow, do whatever releasing you need to do. And we'll meet back in that center spot. Hug everything in. Left turn, left side's turn. So toes back, press back, find that engagement, make sure those hip points are down so you're nice and square. Then lift your heel. Beautiful. Stay right here. Or stretch that right arm forward, coming into that balance. So on your inhale, really stretch it long. Exhale, hug it in. And you can do that knee to elbow. You can just do that isometrically. Whatever works best for you. Do it one more time. Pause here. Hold it long. Then the hand comes down, turn, toes turn out, and then swing your leg out to the side. Bring your foot down, anchor your foot, and walk your hands back so you're standing up on your right knee. I think I have that right. Good. Arms down by your sides, snuggle those shoulders so you're bright across the top of your chest. Then that nice big inhale, reach up. Left hand down to the thigh, nice and long on the right side, and then up and over for that side body stretch. Breathe into it. Inhale brings you back to center. And then reaching the left arm up, bring the right hand down, begin to reach toward the right. Anchor that left foot. Stretch nice and long here. You can tap the column, Jenny. It's okay. You're nice and long over there. Next inhale, unwind everything. Come back to the mat. Do whatever wiggling you need to do. And then bring your attention to your arms. Really press down through that index finger and thumb. Make sure the head of the arm bones are snuggled in. Draw your heart forward so your shoulders are ready to move. Curl your toes under. Yes. Now stretch your right leg back and then the left leg so that you're in plank for a hot moment. Then lift your hips, reach back, find your down dog. That might feel really good at this point. Pedal your feet if you want, up and down on your tippy toes. And then walk your hands back to your feet. Super soft forward fold at the back of your mat. Inhale, reach down through your feet, rise up just halfway. Cooler. Exhale, soften and release. Do that one more time, reach up halfway. Now, hands to your hip pockets, press down through your feet, rise up all the way. And when you're there, take that super big breath in. Exhale, bring your hands down by your side, turn your palms forward. Feel how strong you are from the soles of your feet all the way up to the crown of your head. Take one more round of breath. Let it go. On your next inhale, stretch your fingertips out and up. Let them meet at the top. And then draw your thumbs all the way through heart center. Fold forward, coming all the way back down to the mat. Walk your hands forward. Find your high plank. Really strong plank. Beautiful. So you're really stretching from your heel through the crown of your head. Shift forward in front of your wrist creases. Lower your knees or not, your choice. Bring your elbows back. Lower all the way down to the mat. Uncurl your toes. Anchor the tops of your feet. Keep your thumbs by your ribs. And when you are ready, pressing down from your toes, find that energy. Lift from the back of your heart. Find your cobra pose. Exhale, melt it down. Curl your toes under, lift up through plank or hands and knees, find your down dog. Pedal your feet up and down on your tippy toes or just stretch long. And then with your next breath in, look up at your hands and bring your feet to your hands at the top of your mat. However works best for you. Super soft forward fold. Inhale, rise halfway. Exhale, soften it down, and then root to rise. Come all the way up, and if you want to swing those arms out, do that big breath in. Feel free. Fingertips at the top, and then heart center. One full round of breath here. Exhale completely. Good. Now bring your hands to your hips. So Jenny and Marcia are going to start with their left foot. Here is your challenge. Your goal is to reach your left foot back behind you as if you were coming into crescent. We're going to end up in warrior two, just so you know where we're going, but to do it as slowly as you can. So that means you're going to have to really root down through your right foot, pick up your left foot, bend your knee, and then as slowly as you can, reach it back as far as you can comfortably reach it. Oh, you ladies are beautiful. When you're as far as you can, bring the toes down to the mat and then spin your heel down and work your way into your warrior two. Check your bent knee, make sure that you can see your big toe, bring the back foot down so you can anchor really well. And then Marcia has her palms up to soften her shoulders. If that helps you, feel free. Jenny, you were fine. It looks beautiful. Reverse your warrior. So keep reaching that knee forward as you reach that right arm back. Beautiful. Come back to your warrior two. Now turn your palms forward, snuggle your shoulders so you're nice and open. Straighten your right leg, pick up your toes, spin them forward so you're facing the side of your mat. Star pose. Beautiful. Now you have a choice. You can either click your heels in or tip your toes out so your feet are at a 45-degree angle. And on your exhale, bend your knees out over your toes and bend your elbows so you come to cactus arms, goddess. Good. Inhale, straighten your legs, reach your arms up. Exhale and bend, soften into the pose. A little mini flow here, so inhaling long. Exhaling and bend. Do it another time. Inhale nice and long. Exhale, settle into your goddess. Feel wide across your chest. Let your knees open out nice and wide. One more breath here. And then on your inhale, stretch your arms out wide, straighten your legs. Now we're going to come into triangle. So lift your left toes and spin them to the top of your mat. You're going to need to lift your right toes and either turn them forward or even toward the top of your mat. Good. Keep your palms forward. Now we're going to play a little bit. So your right arm stays open. Turn your left palm up. Imagine you have a pizza paddle there. Stretch into the oven. It's not ready yet, so draw it back. Do that 2 more times. Reach in, draw it back. 1 more time. This time as you're reaching, pause. Notice where you are. That's perfect. Now, bring your hand down to your leg, wherever it lands. You don't have to stretch for the floor. Wherever it is on your leg is beautiful. Then that right arm comes up to stack. Let the arm bone snuggle right into your shoulder. Beautiful triangle. Nice and wide and open. 1 more breath. On your exhale, look at your left toes. Spin your hands down toward your toes. Spin your back heel up. Forward fold at the back end of your mat. It's now your top. Inhale halfway. Exhale, melt it down. And then root to rise. Come all the way up. Big breath in. Thumbs come to heart center. Check in with you. Get yourself well centered. Check in with your intention. And then bring your hands to your hips. We get to do that whole thing on the other side. So you know where we're going. How slowly can you go? Lift that. Make sure that that left leg is ready to hold your weight. Hug it in and then lift your right knee. Reach the foot back, finding that crescent pose for just that hot second. As long as you can, as slowly as you can, then spin your heel down. Work your way into your warrior two. Check your knee alignment so you're nice and wide. Anchor that back foot. Soften your shoulders. Beautiful. Reverse your warrior. Keep reaching your left knee forward. Stretch it long. Beautiful. On the next inhale, come back to your warrior two. Straighten your leg, turn your palms forward, find your star. So spin your feet forward. We're going to be in star for just a moment. Now you get to click your heels in or your toes out. Here we go, coming into that goddess again. So exhale, bend everything, find the goddess shape. You get to hold it this time. Lift your heart up high. Here's what you're going to do with your breath. On your exhale, turn to the right. It's only your waist because your hips have to stay forward. It may not be as deep as you're used to. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn to the left. So it's like a little washing machine action. Inhale to center. 2 more times each side. Back to center on your inhale. Exhale the other way. I love to see the corners of the lips lift. Makes my heart happy. Last time, ladies. Press down, rise all the way up. Work your way back to star. And we're going to do triangle on the other side. So your right toes need to turn toward the top of your mat, left toes in. So you know where we're going. Paddles in the right hand this time. Reach into your pizza oven. Draw it back. And do it again. And draw it back. Notice how lovely and liquid you get when you do that. Reach it out. Now pause and notice where you are. Now tip it down. Once your hand is set wherever it lands on your leg, reach the opposite arm up. Feel how open you are. And breathe into the space you've created. One more breath. Then look down at your feet, spin your hands down, pick your back heel up. Front foot meets the back foot. Lift your hips high into down dog. You can float forward into plank and do a complete flow through. Or if you've just chosen to stay in down dog for a breath or two, that's fine. Ultimately, we're going to end up in child. So Jenny and Marcia are both flowing through. Came down through chaturanga to their back bend, to down dog, and now child. Let your knees be wide, uncurl your toes, let your hips rest back, let your heart melt down. If puppy dog is more comfortable for you, go there. Come back to your breath. Come back to your intention. And just notice your breath. How do you feel? What is your mind saying? On your next inhale, come up to hands and knees. And so Jenny and Marcia are going to pad their mat. We're going to be on the floor or on the mat for the rest of the time. So it's just nice to have a little extra cushioning action as we come into the yin part of the practice. So feel free to spread the blanket out as far as you think you might need it. And we can always make adjustments and move things around. The thing about yin is that we're really only going to use the blanket in a couple of blocks tonight. If you have a couple of cushions that are a little stiffer, that will work. The idea is to find the shape of the pose and then allow your body to hold that. So the first pose is a pretty familiar pose. We're going to come into Sphinx first. So you get to stretch out on your bellies. And it's really just like regular Hatha yoga. So you want your toes to reach back. You want your legs long. So your elbows can be right under your shoulders as you draw your heart forward. So that would be a little deeper back bend. We're going to be here for several minutes. So if this feels like it might be a little much, then just walk your hands forward so your elbows are in front of your shoulders. That's a little softer. So I'm going to set a timer here. So you heard the initial bell. When you hear the next bell, it will be time to come out of the pose. So bring your attention back to your breath. You can even do a little body scan or notice what your intention was. Think about your intention. I have a few quotes I will share with you. So here's one to allow your thoughts to wrap around. This one is from Brenna Yovanov. And what she wrote was, intention is one of the most powerful forces there is. What you mean when you do a thing will always determine the outcome. The law creates the world. If your mind begins to wander, that's a normal thing. Just bring your attention back to your breath. Maybe back to your intention. just a few more rounds. Let them be nice and long and full. Remember when you exhale to exhale completely. When all the air goes out, your body will naturally refill. Last one. Now you've been here for a while. Softly, softly melt yourself down. You could cradle your forehead patted on stacked hands. You might want to bend your knees and gently, slowly windshield wiper your feet from side to side if your low back needs a little release. And then what we're going to do next is a series of poses that are all referred to in the yin world as dragon poses. So when you are ready, find your way back to hands and knees. And you will want your blocks nearby toward the top of your mat. Yes, feel free to pad those knees because we're going to be on them for a while. And so ladies, we're going to start with the knee furthest away from me. I believe that's your left leg front. Right. So come into a low lunge. So find the shape of a regular low lunge with your knee down. And then you're going to bring your hands to the blocks at whatever height is good for you and allow yourself to melt over your thigh. As you do, allow the back of your neck to round. So we want to just soften in to the pose. So here's a shorter one. Just allow yourself to let the shape of the pose do the work and allow your body to soften around the shape. Wayne Dyer once said, "Our intention creates our reality." That nice, long, full round. Here's your last one. So as you come out, lengthen your spine first, and then bring your hands to your thigh. Press down on your thigh so it lifts your spine up. So notice the difference that it makes. So think about your hips being square. Think about that engagement. We're really targeting the psoas, the entire length of the psoas. So the psoas connects from your spine all the way across the front of your hip into your thigh. So it is a hip flexor, but it connects with the spine. Our intention creates our reality. That's from Wayne Dyer. Sylvia Hartman says, intention moves energy. So even though you're being static, you're really allowing the body to move the energy through you. You're allowing your tissues to soften and lengthen and change. Back to the breath. last complete one, nice and long. As you exhale, be sure to exhale completely. So you might feel the need to draw back and release out of this shape for just a hot minute. Because we're going to come forward again and get a little deeper into the inner groin and the hip flexors and maybe even lengthening the low back. So as you are ready, ladies, come forward. Bring both of your blocks inside your front foot. You might want to heel toe the front foot a little wider. You could even turn the toes out, but keep the sole of the foot nice and flat. You could even stack the blocks if you want, so you can come down on your forearms because you want to melt into this pose. A lot of people think of this pose as lizard. Allow yourself to melt into the shape. You can let your spine round. Let the shape do the work. Ralph Ellison is attributed with saying, "It takes a deep commitment to change and an even deeper commitment to grow." Intention. Inclining your mind, priming your pump. The neural one. Back to your breath. Last full round. So keep this shape, except bring your left hand to your left thigh. And now if your toes aren't turned out, turn your toes out and allow your knee to drop out. We're coming into winged dragon. And then begin to turn your heart toward your knee. So it might feel like you're stacking your shoulders a little bit. That's fine. Opening up. Moving that energy, creating your reality, making that commitment to change and growth. Back to your breath, allowing the growling motors to entertain you. Last full round. So take your time, unwind everything. As you're ready, move your blocks out of the way and either come to hands and knees and do a stretch out, or down dog actually might feel good. To lift up into down dog and to pedal your feet out, it's kind of like releasing pigeon, you know? So do whatever wiggling feels good. Then as you do that, just try to bring your attention to the way that one side of the body feels as compared to the other. And then as you are ready and you come back to hands and knees, you ladies can decide whether you want to stay on the same side or turn directions. I don't think it really much matters. You're going to switch. Okay. Gives you a different viewpoint anyway. You get tired of looking one way. I don't blame you. All right, so the opposite side, that would be your right leg forward this time, correct? Good. So it's the baby dragon first. So bring your hands to your blocks so your upper body is supported. It could be your forearms on the blocks, however how your blocks are set. And then allow yourself to completely round and melt over your thigh. So Emily Carr once said, inspiration is intention obeyed. Last full round of breath. So the next shape is hands on thigh, lifting your spine. So you want to engage to bring yourself up and then be stacked well enough so you can be in the pose. Adjust what you need to, and then allow yourself to settle in. Always coming back to your breath. Sandy Forster is attributed with, when you set an intention, when you commit, the entire universe conspires to make it happen. Always coming back to your breath, perhaps to your intention. Last couple of rounds in this shape. So that lizard shape is next. Do whatever adjustment and stretching you need to do before we settle into that. Yeah, with your knee bent for a while, that gotta feel good. And then as you come to the lizard shape, heel toe that right foot out, bring both of your blocks in. Feel free to stack them if you want to come a little higher to settle in. That's okay. Toes straight or toes out, and then as you settle, allow yourself to melt into the pose. inspiration, reality, energy, commitment, intention. Who knew it was all those things? Come back to the breath. Notice it. Let it be soft. Last full one. So winged dragon is next. As you are ready, turn those toes out. Let the knee drop out. So the right knee is dropping out, right hand to the thigh, opening your heart. Settling in. Back to the breath. Last full round. Gently, gently work your way out. Maybe if you don't want to do down dog this time, you could even stay on your hands and knees and do cat-cow, or maybe some big hip circles. Whatever your body seems to be telling you it wants to do. And then when you're ready for the next to last pose tonight, come down onto your back. So ladies, you might want to spread that blanket all the way the length of your mat so you're fully padded. And make sure you have a block or a really heavy cushion for those of you at home, something that can support a little bit of weight. And then you guys can decide how you want to be, which way you want your feet, which way you want your head. Lay down on your backs. Good, and before we get into the shape of the pose, take a moment to notice. Bring your hands and your arms by your sides. Snuggle your arms next to you. Turn your palms up. Feel the back of your head on the mat. Feel the whole length of your spine. Just notice. Now bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet to the mat. Line your heels up with your sits bones. Now you can either bend your elbows and make what Jolene calls robot arms so that your palms face back toward the top of the mat, or just leave your hands on the floor. Either way. Press down on your upper arms. All you're going to lift is your heart, your chest, snuggle your shoulders a little bit. Beautiful. Keep that. On your next inhale, press down on your arms and your feet. Lift your hips just high enough to snuggle the lowest level of the block underneath your sits bones. Beautiful. Now, once you're in the shape, you can allow your arms to come down by your side. So this pose is a bridge pose. Partway through, I'm going to give you an option. So you can stay in this shape just as you are now, or you can do the option when I provide it. Personal choice. But just notice the length of you, the opening across your heart, the softening across your hips, Hal Elrod once said, "Although actions may speak louder than words, it is our intentions that reveal our soul." And we hope that whoever is in trouble gets all the help they need. Actions louder than words, but the window to our soul is our intention. Feel free to stay in this shape. Or if you'd like to open and feel just a little longer, perhaps, take one foot or leg, it doesn't matter which, stretch it long and then bring the heel down to the mat. And then once that leg is settled, match it with the other one. So now feel the connection from the shoulders across the hips to your heels. So you're literally in a bridge shape if you've extended your legs. Come back to your breath. Let your breath be long and full. Take one more long inhale and a complete exhale. And then gently, if your legs are extended, begin to bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet to the mat. Press down through your arms and your feet. Lift your hips high enough to remove the block. And then do whatever your body wants to do to release. Maybe you want to hug in. Maybe you want to windshield wiper your knees. Maybe you want to lift your legs high. What does your body want? And then as you are ready, oh, happy baby's a great choice. As you are ready, and not a moment before, find your Shavasana shape. Classic is with the legs long and the arms out to the side. Baddha Konasana, where that butterfly pose, where you bring the soles of your feet together and your knees drop out. That might be good. If you want to do that, I encourage you to tuck blocks underneath your knees so you can really allow your body to rest. That might actually feel good after all of the forward and back on the legs. And then once you're there, just allow yourself to be. Bring your full attention back to your breath. Perhaps your intention will float forward on your mind. Remember, James Baraz said, you are simply inclining your mind when you set an intention. You are inclining your mind towards a particular vision. Then you make a heartfelt decision to do what you can to bring it about. And then perhaps my favorite quote of all time, The Little Prince. Actually, it was the fox talking to the prince. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. Everything essential is invisible to the eye. Whatever shape you have chosen, allow your breath to deepen and soften. Bring your attention back to this moment, this time, this place. And gently begin to bring movement back into the body. Fingers and toes, perhaps ankles and wrists. Might feel good to rock your head, roll your head from side to side, softening your neck. And if you're in that butterfly pose, that reclined butterfly pose, then support your knees as you draw them together. And then draw your knees towards your chest and roll to the side that is best for you. Let yourself curl up in a little ball. Cradle your head and your arms. Give yourself a couple of breaths just to be. And then as you are ready, gather your energy together and work your way back to an easy seat. Some form of sitting that is easy for you. Allow your lower body to feel heavy and draw into the earth, but allow the spine to be long, the crown of your head to feel light. Bring your fingertips together. Draw your thumb towards your heart. Lift your heart towards your thumb. Allow the corners of your lips to lift as well. Thank you for joining us. From Jenny and Marcia and me, namaste.